Welcome to this presentation. My name is Tvedt. I'm a PhD student at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. I'm presenting the paper titled Divergent Beliefs about Productivity Despite Concurrent Engineering and Pool Planning. So why this study? Individuals' belief of what productivity is in an organization influence their behavior. So to reach high performance, concurrent engineering and pool planning should at a level align the team's understanding of the term. I will come back to why this is in a minute. Let's take a quick look at the contents. I think the 7 steps speaks for themselves, so I will jump directly into the description of the issue being addressed. Well, increased productivity is a benefit expected when design work is carried out as concurrent engineering using pool planning. In this context, the view of productivity does not include whether the belief of productivity as a concept is homogeneous within the team, and a possible consequence of a diverse understanding is unpredictable behavior. So even though research that report on lean construction argues that projects need reliable workflow, little research has been done to understand how united the understanding of productivity is within these teams that are to work concurrently. This is where my study contributes with knowledge. Based on the presented issue, my research question is, do collaborative work processes cultivate a shared belief of productivity in design teams? Also, 3 objectives have focused the question further. Examine why the designers feel productive, how they perceive the team's level of productivity, and in what setting they have a feeling of being productive. The basis for the data used in this study is results from a larger qualitative case study. I conducted 15 interviews, about 30 hours of meeting observation, and reviewed project documents. This data collection has been limited to a single design team in a public Norwegian construction project. I acknowledge that with such a limited sample size, I cannot generalize the findings, so the aim is to provide a deep understanding of the presented issue. The focus on a divergent understanding of productivity came as an emergent theme, so the analysis has been inductive, where the research question was made after the data collection. Therefore, theory is not a basis for the paper, but rather a framework for the discussion. I've taken a social perspective when analyzing the relationship between the collaborative work process and designers' understanding of productivity. Now we can move on to the context. I have followed the thoughts of Rush and Tangen, who view the understanding of productivity as an indicator that shapes employees' behavior. This means that the various beliefs of productivity in a team can lead to unpredictable behaviors. I found a similar thought in Brown's work. He stated that employees seem to perform well on those aspects of their job that are being measured and valued as productivity. In other words, you get what you measure. I do acknowledge that productivity in construction has been much studied, but this research has mostly focused on construction sites and labor productivity, defined by input and output. This definition is challenged in the setting of design. Design work is complex and designers use much of the time on indirect production tasks. For example, communicating problems and learning clients' needs. So we want these value-generating iterations and variability of outcome. When I analyze the data, I notice that productivity has intuitive meaning for team members. Therefore, in accordance with Tangen, I have chosen to view productivity not as a fact, but as something that is unique for the situation. It must be coordinated so employees speak the same language and focus the effort towards the project goals. Finally, since the study project was carried out with concurrent engineering pool planning, I've looked into the effect of these techniques on the project actor's behavior and thereby the team's productivity. Both of these lean tools are collaborative work processes that are to obtain the most favorable products in a productive manner by aligning team members' effort. So, let's move on to the interesting part, the data and the discussion. I started the interviews by asking the designers to define productivity. The opinions are split, but 3 categories became evident. Speed, the delivery, and plans. I will not go further into these categories, but the informed answers can be summed up in one definition. To have and to follow a plan that ensures that the team is delivering the right things at the right time. This vague definition that includes everything confirms that design work is challenging to define. To bring the issue closer to the designer's everyday work, the designers will ask about 3 sides of productivity in the studied project. How do they recognize productivity? The design manager said that there were no measure of productivity helping to evaluate the team's effort. So, if Brown is correct about the organization getting what they measure, then this absence of a measurement system could be a cause of the team's split understanding of productivity. At the same time, the designers expressed that productivity was obvious since they worked concurrently. Other indicators that were mentioned are fun to work for everyone, collaboration, and pulling together. Also, the BIM model was mentioned as an indicator for productivity, as you can see if team members have been working. Secondly, how do they perceive the team's productivity level? When I entered the project, it was delayed by a year. Despite this, interviewees answered that the productivity level was above average. It could be that these team members view quality as an important part of productivity. On the other side, informants mentioned that the order of work, changes, and the size of the team lowered the productivity. What is interesting is that several commented that the productivity suffered because the contractor was brought into the process too late. From this knowledge, it is debatable if the concurrent engineering process has not been proceeded successfully to harvest the benefit mentioned by the research by Ballard and Howell. Lastly, in what situation do they feel productive and why? Meetings were repeated by designers. To feel productive, they need to physically sit together, and I believe this comment demonstrates my point. In an episode, we had 2 meetings, and we presented to each other the issues, and after we had pondered a little, we could offer a solution that suddenly turned out to cover several needs. This interdisciplinary process would not be productive if the team did not respect each other's knowledge and pull together. These findings indicate that the process of concurrent engineering, explained by Ballard, cultivates team members' feeling of being productive, despite them having various beliefs of the definition. However, designers also mentioned that they need to have time to work alone to feel productive. What is interesting is that they mentioned that this requires trust, pulling together, and that others respect what you produce, or else the delivery will be in danger of rework. Other ways they explain why they feel productive are enough time, positive feedback, communication flow, knowledge, and being pleased. What is now left is to give you the conclusion to the research question. Do collaborative work processes cultivate the shared belief of productivity in design teams? Productivity at the conceptual level was shown to have a different meaning for the designers than when it's brought down at the everyday level. This indicates that there are project mechanisms that affect the team members' beliefs of productivity. My finding shows that there are divergent beliefs of what productivity means in the project. But it is evident that the team members felt more productive in face-to-face collaborative situations where, for example, goals became transparent for all involved. So, collaborative work processes are proven to cultivate individuals' feeling of being productive, but not directly cultivate the shared belief of the definition. We have now come to the contribution of my study. I contribute with the knowledge that there is a divergent understanding of what productivity is and means in design teams despite the collaborative work processes that are supposed to align teams' effort. These findings speak directly to the academic discussion of how delivery models affect behavior. For future work, I see the need to explore the similarity to when and why designers feel productive and the characteristics of the phenomenon of psychological safety. We need to know why it's on the face-to-face collaboration that team members feel most productive. This will help managers to create psychologically safe teams also in a virtual environment, or else productivity will suffer. Today, when we are experiencing a rapidly digitalization, I stress that there is a need to understand how to align team members' understanding of productivity and not take it for granted, even though that the project model is designed as collaborative. So thank you for your attention and for listening in on this presentation. If you have any inputs on what I presented, I would love to hear from you.